Like, please, can we petition to ban margarine? Like, it's literally the worst. It's not even food. Today, we are talking about brain health. We're going to keep this general. So have we covered brain health before? I think we've mentioned like migraine and stuff, maybe a couple of kind of conditions, but I don't think we've just spoken generally about brain health. And it's something that a lot of people have asked us to discuss. So we thought we would. There's, as I always say, there's lots of layers to these things. So what I want to chat about today is basically what would we do to support general brain health, general brain well-being. I'm not talking about the person that is symptomatic. I'm not talking about the person with cognitive decline or memory issues or focus issues or things like that. We can absolutely do a video on those subjects because they have a lot to say. But in terms of someone that maybe, you know, they're in a good place now, but maybe they know they have those things in their family. They're looking to kind of protect their brain health, support it as much as possible. You know, what are some considerations that they could be making now to prevent brain health issues down the line, plus to support kind of healthy brain pathways, support healthy brain functionality day to day to kind of reduce your risk of having issues with focus and concentration and reduce your risk of things like, you know, headaches and all of that kind of stuff.
So this is an advert for like those posters that we see on the sides of like buses going, feeling tired? You need Floridix.
I mean, that's a completely different thing because that's anemia-driven tiredness. But that's actually a really smart marketing campaign.
Oh, yeah, of course it is. Yeah.
Low iron can absolutely cause fatigue, but like it's one of like a billion things that could cause fatigue. But if you're tired and you see that ad, you're going to go out and buy a bottle of Floridix.
Do you know what I did though? You know, when I feel tired, I do this thing called sleep. It's actually, it costs literally nothing. I don't look at my phone and I just go, you know what? I'm going to put my head down on this pillow and I'm going to go sleep.
Sorry, I'd love to know when you respond to tiredness with sleep now that you have a toddler. Sorry, can you please explain that to me? Because actually that would be a much more fascinating video than this brain health conversation. I think any parents out there watching would love to know how you get plenty of sleep with a toddler.
I fully think that someone will invent a way to monetize sleep.
Mm-hmm. Oh, they already have. There's loads of
pillows
things that monetize sleep. Yeah. But actually, sleep is another thing. So supporting good brain health will absolutely support sleep because you need a properly functioning brain to create the neurotransmitters that support sleep. So serotonin, which transforms into melatonin, your sleep hormone. And if those conversions aren't working, GABA as well to kind of relax your brain. If those functions aren't working, often you can start struggling with things like poor sleep, insomnia, wakefulness, all of that kind of stuff. So actually, maybe this will help tired parents.
Well, just think, I know it sounds, you know, when you sleep, your brain, and if I'm correct with this, your brain shrinks because it's like they say it's like a sponge, and what it's doing is it's like squeezing like it's emptying all the crap out of it as you sleep. So as you sleep, your body, like your brain shrinks, and all the crap chemicals that it doesn't need, it like a sponge, it flows back out to the system, and then as your liver and kidneys kick in between 1 and 5 in the morning, your body detoxes that out of the system, and as it's doing that actually is what improves brain health.
Is that actually true?
Yeah. I know it's true. I'm 99% it's true, but like, you know, I remember like listening to something or reading something about it, and I know that it is true, but for the life of me, I'm going to have to dig it up for this video because I know someone's going to say that's bullshit, but I will dig it up and I'll put it in the comments.
Yeah, look in the description below. If you see it's true in capitals, then it's true.
It's true.
Because I actually would really like to see that research. It would make a lot of sense in the sense in the way that, you know, we're not supposed to eat and things like that several hours before we sleep. There's certain sleep hygiene conditions that you need. so that the body can flip into that kind of detox and recycle and repair mode.
Oh, the
So
body's great at detoxing,
it would
yeah.
make sense that obviously the brain is doing that, but I've never heard that in my life.
Yeah, because the brain is very good at detox. The body is very good at detoxing.
Oh,
It's when
incredible.
it's when the body's overwhelmed with crap and toxins and all the shit that we
Like
put into our
living in modern
system.
society.
Yeah, like that is it struggles to do it. But the brain, like, we're talking about brain health. The first thing that we should always start with is what are the 3 things that we can do to basically support brain health, right?
Yeah.
And that is first thing, sleep, and like, which I know is easier said than done.
Do you not feel like you would go into other things first, though? Because certain other things like diet and nutrition and lifestyle can impact your ability to sleep?
Oh, 100%.
I think.
But what I'm saying, that we should first like start with the basic like things that we can just do for free, which is sleep, stay hydrated, remineralize the system with the basic minerals that the body needs, electrolytes. We'll link our electrolytes in the description. Really, really basic things.
Not our electrolytes, but the electrolytes we like.
We like, and then also staying away from blue lights at night. Like literally, don't overstimulate the brain before you go to sleep.
That's a massive one.
Literally the most easiest, cheapest thing to do to increase brain health. Because you know those days when you wake up and you've had a really good sleep and you're like, oh my God, I can take this day on.
It is life-changing. I remember, there was a time when I was younger and I had less stuff going on, and, you're not like working a full-time job and balancing like all the different bits that you do in adulting. And like almost every night was one of those sleeps where you wake up often before an alarm clock and you just feel super refreshed. Whereas, as things get busier, as you drop the ball on all of those different aspects that we know are important as part of sleep hygiene, like blocking blue light, not having electronics around, not eating late, not watching stressful things, all of these different stuff. You really do notice the difference. You don't wake up rested. You wake up trying to hit the snooze button. And if you're doing that, then something's going on in your sleep.
Well, it's I like that word that you use, like sleep hygiene. The idea of like doing sleep hygiene, right? And you just trigger some of my memory about sleep hygiene. Like even with kids and stuff, like they watch TV that's overstimulating, and it literally like raises their heart pressure. There's a certain TV program that's meant to do it. It's a very controversial TV program, but they struggle to sleep. And it's the same with games. Like you look at gaming, if you game before you try to go to sleep, you physically can't sleep because your brain is just like go 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 go. It's like doing a first player shootout, for example. Your brain's just go go go, and what will happen is the only way for you to fall asleep is you literally physically just drop. Your body's just done. Like 2 a.m, they'll sit there and it's so
The
weird.
sleep pressure gets too much. So
Yeah.
that's what they call it, where your sleep pressure gets to that point where you just can't stay awake anymore, so you fall asleep.
Basically, yeah. And it is like such a weird basic thing, but for some reason, because of like technology now, we've like gone to this idea that we can sit in our bed, and don't get me wrong, I'm guilty of it as well, lying in bed literally scrolling through Instagram, or in my case watching some crappy TV series to fall asleep.
Or going down a Reddit rabbit hole.
God, I freaking love Reddit.
So brain health.
Moving forward.
So I kind of think on the topic of free and brain health, diet is a good place to start. It's often the thing that comes up first when you start talking about brain health. So there's a few categories that I think are worthwhile at the kind of general brain health level. And keep in mind when I'm talking about this that my whole philosophy around diet and food is to keep it as not difficult as possible. And I say that specifically instead of keep it as easy as possible, because I don't just mean like, simple to prepare and all of that, but just, don't try and remove as little joy as possible. Try and include as few food rules as possible. I just really believe that in life. So that's the kind of baseline philosophy I'm thinking. Brain health, antioxidants is an absolute foundation that you want. There's antioxidants in pretty much most foods, but as a general rule of thumb, you're looking for a variety of color and the most vibrant colors. So when you're choosing like fruits and vegetables or beans or anything like that, try and get the most vibrant versions of those foods. A particular shout out would be anthocyanins, which are a particular group of antioxidants that have been found to be particularly beneficial to the brain, cognitive function, reducing inflammation, things like that. They're often found in red and blue, purple foods. So think your blueberries, your grapes,
Red
red cabbage, your red onions. I was
Beetroot.
I was trying to think for a second. I was like, what are red foods? So those are a particular shout out. Flavonoids, another really good brain food. So think like beans. You can get it in dark chocolate. Curcumin, so turmeric, which has a really strong anti-inflammatory effect, and quercetin also has a lot of antioxidant benefits for the brain specifically. Personally, I love apples as a source of quercetin, but again, you can get it in a lot of fruits and vegetables. I realize, as I said, antioxidants, I haven't actually explained why antioxidants are good for brain health. So in a nutshell, antioxidants are anti-oxidative stress. Oxidative stress is produced under circumstances of inflammation. Oxidative stress can lead to disease. You don't want that. So antioxidants will gobble up oxidative stress, or rather the free radicals that oxidative stress creates, and it'll reduce inflammation, reduce your chance of disease. Essentially, in a nutshell, that's what it's doing. So I would definitely be including plenty of those foods on a regular basis. Obviously, there's tons of additional benefits to that. So like all of the different nutrients and the fiber, the gut support, skin support, all of that, but definitely a foundation for the brain. Fats are a big brain one.
No, Tracy. But I've been told that everyone must go on a low-fat diet, and fats are really bad for you, T. Because that's what the models told me, and it says that everything should be low-fat, high protein. Remember, I'm so sarcastic sometimes. I can't help myself.
Yeah, that you are. The brain essentially functions on fat, and actually as you get into more of the kind of disease conditional talk around brain health, you'll notice that fat comes up much more as a foundation. But if we're staying in this kind of general level, my biggest recommendation is just to stay away from toxic fats, or I like to call them oxidized fats. So I'm looking at you, seed oils.
High oleic acid.
Yeah, I'm looking at you, all of your rapeseed and your sunflower and your canola and your vegetable oil, and any oil that comes in plastic, any oil that comes in a clear bottle, particularly a clear plastic bottle. All of your toxic oils, stay away. Your hydrogenated oils, your margarine. Like, please, can we petition to ban margarine? Like, it's literally the worst. It's not even food.
But I can't believe it's not butter.
It's just utterly. Just go back to your basics. Just good quality butter. Animal fats if you choose to eat those. Coconut oil, again, MCT, which is derived in coconut oil, is something that comes up when you get more specific about brain conditions, but just in a general place, good quality coconut oil. Ghee, good quality ghee is a really good fat. Extra virgin olive oil, has to be extra virgin, dark glass bottle, high quality, because you need those high level of antioxidants and polyphenols in the olive oil in order to counteract any toxins that are going to come up as a result of cooking. So just those principles in general are important. Omega-3 fatty acids, just having a good balance level. You don't need to go overboard for general brain health. I'm going to say something a little bit maybe controversial here. I feel like we're at the stage of pollution in our waters that unless you can get your hands on wild caught fish or seafood from clear waters, if your only option is farmed fish, don't bother. I would spend your money on a high quality omega supplement if that's what you choose. you can also get a lot of these things through diet as well.
Linked
outside of
to
fish.
the interview with Jagak Sessio, who talks about antibiotics in food, and
And
he's got
fish
he talks about the
I-
farmed fish. So let's just let them watch the interview, because I think
Yeah.
if you care about buying where your fish comes from, let's go into that.
The funny thing is, though, in the context of brain health, I wasn't even just thinking about antibiotics, which obviously are a massive issue, but I was thinking of just like the microplastics and the heavy metals that are coming through in our fish, and like, yeah, just the absolute nastiness.
What about
but
the
in theory,
omegas?
fish is a really good option.
I'm going to break your train of thought here a little bit.
I
What
thought
a-
you were going to say I'm going to break you a little.
No, I'm going to break your train of thought a little bit. So, like, you know the omegas, omega acids, right? They talk a lot about like fish containing omega-3. Now, am I wrong in saying that? Because I know omega-3 is really, really good for the brain, and omega-3 specifically.
Omega-3 is anti-inflammatory. Omega-6 has some pro-inflammatory, and then there's omega-9.
So, you know the fish-based omega-3. Am I wrong in saying that the only reason why fish have omega-3 in there is because they eat algae, and algae contains the original omega-3, but then the fish synthesize it from the algae, and that's how fish have omega-3?
I mean, if you want a paper for that, you're going to pay a lot of money, but you're not wrong. And it's one of the many reasons that I said, in my opinion, unless you can afford high quality wild caught fish that comes from clear waters where they still have a decent diet and a decent environment, I wouldn't bother, because from what we can see, farmed fish is probably pro-inflammatory as opposed to anti-inflammatory. And really the reason that you're eating fish as it associates to brain health, obviously it has loads of nutrition. There's, good protein and minerals and things like that. In theory, depending on your source, the main piece that comes up in that is the omega-3 source, and it's not necessarily that a lot of us are severely deficient in omega-3. It's often that our ratio between omega-3s and omega-6 and omega-9 is just totally off because of our diet, because omega-6 is going to be found in, peanuts and cereals and meats and all of those kind of things, and actually, likely farmed fish, so things that are inflammatory. So, you can also help, particularly in this general stage, I would say, by improving your diet and reducing your sources of omega-6 and balancing it out with a greater balance of omega-3 across your diet, just to balance out that ratio, because it's something that the ratio is really important in the body, as opposed to necessarily I'm obviously simplifying this very much. If you want me to go into more detail on the mechanism, I can. Necessarily then, the specific quantity of each. So yeah, I would say you're not wrong there.
It's interesting. Yeah, because I just literally it always bothers me that people talk about the idea of just being fish. I'm like, is fish the only source? Because like, it must not be the only source for a lot of people.
I think it's the same. Well, I mean, lots of nuts and seeds contain omegas as well, omega-3 and omega-6, depending on the source. Even some meats can contain it. It all depends on the diet. It's like I say if you Google how much beta carotene in a carrot, like that information is likely highly inaccurate or different to what nutrition is actually in the carrot on your plate. So it's the same it's a very general thing to say, oh, just get it from fish, because actually where you source your fish matters.
Shall I blow your mind a little bit that I read today?
Oh, go on.
Do you know apparently that they're researching now like the microplastics in the environment, right? And so talking of brain health, and people talk about the idea of like eating vegetables for better brain health and antioxidants. Apparently not apparently, there is a study. I had a glance at it. I didn't read it in its full. We will talk about at one point, and I'll link it in the this description. They're now saying that carrots they literally suck up microplastics. They literally suck up microplastics from the ground, pull it into it, and carrots have more microplastics than some animals.
This is a real threat to healthy diets, because it's no longer enough just to, it's so funny that we're still focusing so much of like the nutrition and diet conversation on calories and, eat more fruits and vegetables, eat less processed food. But actually what you're talking about is one of the biggest threats to are like people who are trying to eat healthy in the world today. Obviously, if you're eating unprocessed food, you're much better off than someone who's eating processed food that also has all of the microplastics and crap in it. But don't be disillusioned into thinking that just because you're eating whole unprocessed foods that there aren't still nasties in there. Like it's a real issue, but that's a total other
But
side.
it's for brain health, because
Yeah.
if you actually look at like the sources of where the vegetables are coming from, I'll link the Food Standards Authority's report of 2017, which hasn't been repeated for some very strange reason, where they actually show the amount of heavy metals that were found in foods and vegetables, right? Don't get me wrong, the body is able to process these metals and stuff out of the system. However, just think about what happens to the toxins, and I'm going to use the term toxins because I don't want to end up getting cancelled or told off by the powers to be. But if you actually look at it, what happens when they're stored in the system, or they start pinging on diseases and start attracting to neurons, especially in the brain?
But it's funny what you said there, in that even the body's able to process these out, and whereas in reality, technically speaking, the body should have the capacity and has the capacity somewhere to process these out. But that's only in a healthy, well-functioning body. And even still, the body can only process so many out, dependent on how the exposure is coming in. Whereas for a lot of people, what's happening is they're not starting from a healthy base level and they're exposed to all of these toxins. The body can't process them out efficiently, and so it's storing them in different parts of the body. Fat tissues being a massive source of stored toxins, but also we're seeing a lot of deposits in the brain. And actually, I mean, you skipped ahead to what I was going to mention, but I actually think a fundamental part of a brain healthy diet is actually where you source your produce and your food. So looking at the quality of your sources. And listen, I know we're in a cost of living crisis. I know that particularly food has become painfully expensive. So I'm not saying that you have to do this. I'm just sharing information. Looking at the quality and the source of your produce, trying to go organic if you can. There's still going to even be issues with organic food, but at least you're likely to have a lower kind of toxic load. But also washing your food as much. So like, washing your grains or your fruits or vegetables properly to try and get any kind of residues out, and cooking food that should be cooked because it'll break down some toxins and things as well. Like, that's just as important as the type of food that you're eating, is the cleanliness of the food you're eating, because we really are in a crisis today in terms of the level of plastics and heavy metals and toxins and just gunk, antibiotics in our food, and that is massively going to affect your brain health.
100%. You know what's funny though, like you talk about the food aspect of brain health, is like when people go like complete carnivore and they're like, they could say like, I went carnivore, went on a complete meat diet, and I just felt absolutely amazing. And you know what kept bugging me? I kept thinking to myself, when people do the carnivore diet, right, and they suddenly get better, what the fuck was their diet like before? Because realistically, if all of a sudden they've gone to pure meat in their diet, right, like I would not be surprised if those people were like having real processed food diets, which really affected their health. Then they went to pure meat, and all of a sudden they started feeling better because they were just eating meat.
I think it
with no processed crap.
I think it depends. I think it can vary. I think absolutely, if you go to the carnivore diet, or you go from any sort of like diet that has processed food to kind of a really clean diet that's unprocessed, you're obviously going to feel a benefit. I think a lot of people that jump to the carnivore diet often have a lot of autoimmune conditions, so you can assume a massive amount of inflammation, nutrient deficiencies, you know, they're obviously going to feel better when they're going to the carnivore diet and it's reducing that, particularly in the short to medium term. I have heard with the carnivore diet, as we're talking about brain health, that for some people long term, because you obviously don't have any kind of glucose or anything like that, it can affect, you know, brain energy. But again, that's some cases. There are some people that have been on the carnivore diet for a long time that don't claim that, but you know, that adding in some carbohydrates through, you know, like even honey or like the occasional fruits and stuff can actually help with, you know, cognitively and energy wise. But everybody's different. But I think it makes total sense that if you jumped from, you know, anything but like a completely clean diet with absolutely no issues to a carnivore diet, that you're going to have, you know, feel great for a certain amount of time. You know, if you stopped eating McDonald's and you started eating loads of veggies, you're probably going to feel great for a certain amount of time. But if you're not looking holistically and kind of supporting all of the needs of your body, the nutrient needs and all of that kind of thing, it's only going to be for so long. And that depends. Everybody's different on that.
I mean, and I think this is the thing that we're not talking about with brain health as well. Is like gut health plays the biggest role in brain health. They actually say like how your gut, though they say the gut's the first brain and the brain is the second brain. So whatever you're feeding your gut is what you're feeding your brain. And so if you've got like those high pro-inflammatory foods, you are just essentially not feeding the brain the right nutrients.
Well, I think they're intrinsically linked because obviously we know there's the bidirectional communication between the gut and the brain, and the gut is the site of, you know, the first site of a lot of nutrients and I want to say like building blocks for a lot of, you know, neurotransmitters and, you know, different chemicals and hormones that are really important to support brain health.
The digestive process, isn't it?
If they're not right in the gut, then the brain certainly isn't getting them. So obviously you need to make sure that you're nourishing the gut in order to make sure there's plenty to go around so the brain can get what it needs. If it's not there, then the brain can't get what it needs and it starts breaking down.
Well, then let's move forward to like looking at like supplements and nutrients that you can take.
Before we move forward, can I just mention one more thing?
Go for it.
Because I know it's going to be something that comes up and I have a feeling I'm going to have a different answer to what a lot of people generally say, particularly in the functional nutrition area. Sugar and brain health. If you're talking to someone and they're telling you about diet things for brain health, what do you expect them to tell you about sugar?
They'll normally say come off sugar completely.
Yeah. And while in the more conditional, later stage focused areas of brain health, I would be in line with that. In the place where you are still very healthy, you don't have any kind of issues, you're looking to address your lifestyle now, I am not, you know, a kind of get rid of it completely. Yes, too much sugar can be inflammatory, and yes, you know, there's a blood sugar component to brain health. I personally think that as long as you're eating, you know, good sources of sugar, so fruit sugars or, you know, actual just sugar like raw honey, maybe some raw maple syrup, maybe some like good quality sugar, and you're eating them in good quality foods. So, you know, in say a cake or some cookies that are, you know, made with actual ingredients, not loads of crap and chemicals. Like, I think as long as you're occasionally consuming those and your blood sugar is generally healthy, I don't think it's going to tip you over the edge. And I do feel that sometimes completely restricting that stuff can start to affect the social aspect of food. So, and which then the social aspect can actually be very detrimental for brain health, because social contact and joy and all of that is really important for your brain health. So it's just something to consider. Again, not saying eat those sugar every single day or eat too much, not at all. I'm just saying I wouldn't kind of call it the devil at that general basic stage. Sweeteners, no. But, you know, occasional high quality, you know, kind of treats here and there, I don't think it's going to make or break people.
I think the problem is like
I'm going to get in trouble for that.
No, but the thing is, like, look, this is the place of candid conversation, and like, we're entitled. Everyone's entitled to their opinions and how they see things. But the issue is, I think we've been fed this narrative of sugar so much, more so because like people look at it from like, for example, based like candida or their specific diseases, and what they do is we've got this idea, and this is like the crazy model. They want you to focus on something specific and say that's the bad guy. Like for years we said fat was the bad person. Fat. And now all of a sudden it's now come out that fat's needed for the system. Like, people have built their, look at like the old school, nutrition people who built like the MCT oil, for example. I forgot his name now. The MCT guy, coffee guy.
Oh,
Where's the
Dave Asprey?
Dave Asprey like did the thing there. So now that fat's come out as like the good thing, and then all of a sudden now like it's all of a sudden been like carbohydrates are bad and you shouldn't have any carbohydrates at all. Not and just a blanket statement. And the problem is like I think everyone starts to. I think we become guilty of focusing on something very, very specific and saying it's that.
We love reductionist
thinking.
thinking.
It's reductionist thinking, isn't it? And it's reductionist thinking.
But also, and like it can be the case at some points, but that doesn't necessarily mean that it's inherently true for everything all the time. Because if you are coming from a place where you are overdoing it on sugar and carbohydrates, particularly highly processed ones, then probably sugar is the enemy, in the sense that by going off it for a while, you'd be doing a lot better. But I'm, again, talking to the people that are generally very healthy. They don't have, they're not, no addiction issues with sugar. They're, they have a balanced diet. It's not all of the time. I think, particularly for keeping that like joy, because some people enjoy, baking as that activity, or, sharing food is something that we do from a social aspect. And, I just think we need to think about, because diet and food can be so cultural and ritualistic as well, I think we need to think about those emotional aspects and not just the dietary aspect, again, at this stage when there isn't disease present, because we have the room to do so.
Then, all right, let's move forward to like supplements, because I think a lot of people who like look at brain health will want to look at supplements, and what they're not looking for brain health as in keeping it level. I think they're talking about brain optimization.
Yeah.
I think that's the word that we should be using, is brain optimization. What can I do to optimize my brain?
Well, brain optimization, but also sometimes just basic brain functioning, because so many of us are, have suboptimal levels of certain nutrients that are really, really important for brain health. And so we might not be in a disease state, but, our brain might not be quite, clicking in, or, coming as focused as we need it to be, or our memory might not be as sharp, or we lose our train of thought easily. All of these things, absent of the disease state, are often signs of poor micronutrient status. So a few things in the nutrition area, and obviously you mentioned supplements. I'm going to mention the kind of nutrition area because I think there's a few ways of re-nourishing. Number one, magnesium, mainly because so many people don't get enough of it. It's used up very, very quickly in the modern world through stress, caffeine, alcohol, medication, pollution, lack of sleep, all of these different things that most people are not immune to. One of my favorite ways of getting it is just through an Epsom salt bath or a magnesium spray. You can also take it internally. We have a whole video on magnesium. I'll link it below. There's many ways of optimizing your magnesium. The reason I say that as a fundamental for the brain is because, as I say, lots and lots of different pathways going on to let the brain function, and magnesium is required in the kind of cycle it's like one of the links in the chain, if you will, for many of those pathways. So if you don't have enough magnesium, then the whole chain falls apart. So
I mean, what I've tried to do to make it a little bit easier, I get have a magnesium spray, and T knows this because she finds it hilarious. After I have a shower in the morning, I like spray the magnesium to hand, like so I do like 10 squirts into a hand, rub my hand, and then I rub it onto my feet, and then I get my socks, I rub it to the inside of the socks, and then I put my sock on, and then I do it on both feet. And I've been doing that, and oh my god, one, my sleep has just massively improved massively. Secondly, I'm not getting any like running to the loos because I know I can overdo it with the magnesium as well. It doesn't give you the runs basically. And the third thing, there's no itchiness. I don't find like the itchiness of like, you know, when you get like sprayed in the back of your legs and like it feels like it's burning. Yeah. And honestly, it's just such a basic thing, but just 20 squirts, 10 on each foot. That's it. It's about 400 milligrams. Stop laughing at the squirts thing. So 400 milligrams.
Yeah, no, and it's actually a very smart approach because we know that the bottom of our feet are is a highly absorbent area. So under the armpits, bottom of the feet, there's a few areas in the body that are highly absorbent. So it's a great place.
And you know, I'm stupid, so I like to make things easy for myself.
Oh, stop it. Other nutrients, B vitamins, but specifically I'm going to caveat this by just briefly talking about methylation. It's a whole separate video in and of itself. I'm not going to deep dive. If you know that you're a poor methylator, then it's absolutely imperative that you are getting the active methylated form of B vitamins, particularly your B12 and your B6. All of the B vitamins matter, but just particularly those two. Your folic acid, folate, what you want is the methylfolate. Really, really common in people that are susceptible to brain health issues to have methylation issues. As I say, there's a lot more that goes into that. But if you are looking at B vitamins, even if you haven't been tested to see if you're a good methylator or a poor methylator, I kind of think if you're not going to test, just go for the methylated vitamins anyway, because they're going to be beneficial and more easily utilized, even if you don't have issues with methylation. So if you're going to supplement in that area, make sure you're going for those ones, because otherwise you really don't know if it's working or not. And you could cause more issues than less. I think we spoke about coenzyme Q10 before, but I'm not a big, unless I'm going into the kind of like real precise anti-aging, like really, really in the disease state level of kind of brain health conversation, I'm not one to supplement with antioxidants. However, coenzyme Q10 is the exception to that. I actually would often supplement early on in life with coenzyme Q10, because I think a lot of us aren't getting it from our diet in the same way that we used to. And it's really, really important for cognitive function, supporting memory, and it's really important for fertility and like all of these other things as well. But it's definitely, if you're not getting it from your diet, it's one I would consider taking just a small little amount, and it'll definitely support your brain health and function.
I'll be honest with you, my you know, they also have what term supplement stacks. It's on my supplement stack. I literally will take 600 milligrams of coenzyme Q10 like every single day. My B vitamins mixed together. That CoQ10, I've not been taking it for a bit now at the moment, just because I wanted to see, and I can see such a massive difference in my brain health. But I know the minute I have that B complex with the CoQ10, and that 600 milligrams is what I find for me that works so well, because after reading the research on CoQ10, you need a lot more. Cause before it used to be 150, they say, but actually the data shows that you need 600 milligrams to really, really optimize the brain. Damn, the difference. The difference is good.
100%. It's a really important one for brain health. I think we mentioned trace minerals, did we? So again, along the lines of magnesium, just making sure you're getting your trace minerals. That can be as simple as just chucking a bit of high quality salt in your water first thing in the morning. Again, for that same reason that a lot of them are utilized in these brain health pathways, and without them, they start to break down. And if you're putting in a lot of other effort, you don't want to like kind of drop the ball on the tiniest little thing. So it just makes sure you're covering yourself. It also supports hydration because it's making sure that your cells are pulling in the water as opposed to the water just going through you. So that's a really important
Just
factor.
basically drink a frigging glass of electrolytes daily, man.
Yeah.
Electrolytes contain the most basic minerals. It's
Not
so
all electrolytes, though,
Yeah.
have a good balance of salts because electrolytes originally were used are created for athletes or those with diarrhea, and they tend to have quite high sodium, and they don't often contain trace mineral complexes.
potassium.
So yeah, you want to make sure you're getting one that has like a decent balance of your magnesium, potassium, sodium that isn't just really high sodium, and also ideally one that has a trace mineral complex in it as well. As I say, we'll link the one that we like below.
Well, I think like I said, it's a very basic thing. I think the idea of like it was for athletes, like sports nutrition, was actually done by a very big drinks brand. They kind of created the idea that electrolytes were only designed for athletes when you were sweating through.
Yeah.
But when it came out to it, it was actually no. Every single person needs electrolytes because when you add those minerals in, they pull the nutrients into the cells. It pulls the water into the cells. That was all they needed.
I kind of think it makes sense, though, that we started looking at it for athletes because of the extra sweating. So obviously they would lose more salt through the skin through sweating, whereas because traditionally we should all be getting plenty of trace minerals and electrolytes from our water source, from bathing in salt water, from having salt in our diet. But in modern society, generally all of those things are bad. You know, we don't regularly go in salt water. We don't consume salt, particularly not high quality salt. And most of our water is absolutely bloody toxic, to be honest.
It's chlorine.
So, yeah. So I understand why it kind of came into the realm for like athletes, but we are at a stage where we all need them generally. Finally, lifestyle. Vagal nerve stimulation. What do you know about vagal nerve stimulation?
I know vagal nerve stimulation with like deep breathing exercises. I know that's a big thing for like deep breathing exercises and like making sure you calm the parasympathetic nervous system through breathing.
Yeah, 100%. So essentially what I was talking about earlier, where you were saying that the gut health is really important for your brain health, that bidirectional communication is happening along the vagus nerve. And so supporting the condition, kind of like an athlete training your muscle, or ideally an everyday person training their muscle, you need to condition and maintain the strength of your vagal nerve. And that will allow for more efficient messaging between the body and the brain. Deep breathing is an amazing way of doing that. Singing is a brilliant way. Humming is a brilliant way. Laughter, full belly laughter, is a really, really good way. Meditation, smiling, like anything that kind of like, activates that. Think of it. I mean, it's not your throat, but think of it as that kind of place.
The spiritual place. If to add to what T just said, like I know Dr. Huberman, he did like a thing where he was saying they call it like the Huberman breathing method, which is
a big fan of that,
big, like all it is you take a big deep breath in through your nose, and as you get to the end, you take another sharp deep breath in, you hold for 2 seconds, and then you let it out through your mouth. So you go. So you do that, and you can do it I think about 4 or 5 times, and all that does is it completely calms the parasympathetic nervous system. I'm not talking about doing that when someone's having an anxiety attack. For some reason, when we did a breathing video, I'll link it in the description, people thought I was talking about doing it while you were having a panic anxiety attack. That's more so when you're at your desk and you're kind of like feeling stressed out and you're really, really like tired and exhausted. Pulling oxygen into the lungs and into the brain is a massive way of supporting, like just giving you like brain energy. And I think there was like a dude many years ago who used to say, like, he goes, it gives you the same stimulation as taking drugs. Like you can do the same stimulation. So like deep breathing. So like, and when I talk about deep breathing, I mean breathing into your belly. I'm not talking about breathing into your chest. When you're pulling that breath in, you want to pull it so it's going right to the bottom of it, and you can feel your stomach expand. So let's say, for example, you're doing like mouth breathing. What you would do is when you go, and you'll do that, and you can feel the bottom of your lungs go in. So when you want to deep breathe it to your chest. You want to do through your nose. You go, and that will fill up your chest there. But if you want to get really deep and really that breath into it, you breathe through your mouth. You go, and you keep doing that over and over again, and you will literally calm the nervous system down, and you will just literally pass oxygen through your system. Your blood flow will increase, and you do feel better. Damn, I just did that now, and I feel great.
Yeah,
that was just my energy's just gone back up again.
But it's a really good, particularly that specific one that you mentioned, I think is a really good quick solution for, when I always think of it when I'm having like a desk day, if I'm like trying to get through so much work and, the heating's on and things are starting to get like a little bit hazy and you reach that point of like, oh my God, zonked. Doing that exercise is a really quick way of just like wakening up your brain again and kind of like getting back into it. There's obviously lots of different breathing exercises, lots of different lengths to them. Maybe we could link some of our favorites down below as well, because I feel like we've collected quite a variety at this stage, depending on what we're trying to support or how we're feeling. But I think that's such a fantastic, like really quick one.
It's interesting because like with the breathing, like I got taught breathing through Tracy. Tracy opened the door and I basically ran so far into it. I'm becoming a bit of an expert into it.
And now you put me to shame.
Yeah, but I know it sounds. They say like when you stretch, so you do big yawn and stretch, and you feel so much better because you open up all the blood. It's the same with like breathing. I always say like if you're breathing right, and I know it sounds crazy, and you're gonna look bonkers in your workplace, but if you do a deep breathing exercise and you literally open up your arms, so I normally go like you'll sit at my desk and I'll be going. And I'll just open up everything, and I just feel everything, a bit of my muscle open up, and then I kind of let it out. You can literally see like your energy just go up, and it's just because of that nervous system calming and the oxygen going in. And honestly, you guys are watching this video now, do it. Literally just like slow stretch, just stretch out, take a big deep breath in and let it out. And just in your head, think about the anxiety leaving your body, the stress just leaving your body. 5 of those, you'll be like, oh my God, I can actually deal with my wife today. Sorry, I'm joking. Or my husband.
You are cheeky. Yeah, no, I totally agree with you. Like deep breathing, absolute winner. 2-in-1, vagal nerve conditioning, and all of those other.
And see, look, I'm smiling now. I can deal with you.
Yeah. Oh, thanks. I need to do my breathing because you're no.
Yeah. Just
I think I mentioned I think I mentioned socialization, which, I mean, I don't think I need to say too much on this. There's so much research and, good papers on it out there. But, like, human connection is a fundamental, I almost think it's a nutrient. It's a fundamental need for
oxytocin.
Humans. Connection, that oxytocin release. So ensuring that you're not isolated and lonely is a part of brain health. So whatever feels like a nurturing way of supporting that aspect of your life, go for it. There's lots of different ways to do it. I'm not an expert, so I'm not going to give recommendations. Obviously exercise is a basic one. If I'm not saying hours in the gym, I think going for regular movement, it doesn't matter what it is, general muscle conditioning, just keeping a healthy physical baseline, because a healthy body, healthy mind, and vice versa. So again, that bi-directional communication, the condition of your body affects the condition of your mind in a general way.
I mean, how hard is it just to do a couple of squats?
Yeah.
Going as far.
It's just a habit.
Yeah, just going like, I always say like, if you can sit and like you're doing, unless you're boiling the kettle, just a couple of squats. Or if you're like strong enough and brave enough and feel like to it, doing a press up or even a half press up, just trying to like get those muscles stimulated. And you don't have to do a lot. Just build up slowly. It's the 1%.
You were so stealing my line there, because I am the girl who's always like at the kettle squatting, or like brushing my teeth squatting.
What do you think reminded me of it?
Yeah, it's a good thing we drink so much tea and hot water, actually, because the amount of times throughout the day that I'm waiting for the kettle to boil, and that's how I get my workout in.
Like we're talking about brain health. Like we made the joke about water.
Yeah.
I always say to people, because when we're on the like calls and chatting to people, I'll always ask like, how much water do you drink a day? And they'll be like, oh yeah, like I drink 2 liters. I'm like, what colour is your pee? Oh, yellow. and I'm like, what are you drinking? Oh yeah, like coffees, coffee, like tea, like, and I'm like, you do realize that that's not hydration in any form of like way of possible.
But the thing is, like, they probably don't realize, because actually the general guidance and information out there, isn't clear. Although your pee should be.
It's not like clear. It's maybe like I have a tinge of yellow into it. A tinge, like a little touch of yellow.
Yeah.
If it's
essence, if you will.
Yellow. Pee is not yellow. That's a cartoon colouring.
Unless you've taken a lot of B2, then it might be like what is it? Highlighter yellow, and don't be alarmed. It's totally okay. Right, we need to finish
Wrap
this
up,
video,
yeah.
But one last thing I wanted to add in the lifestyle one, and this is a little bit, edgy, but I fundamentally believe in choose discomfort. So and I don't mean all the time, like don't suffer and don't go out of your way to like do things that you hate, but what I mean more so is that we are increasingly living in a society that has more and more convenience, and it's natural for humans to choose the easy, convenient thing, particularly when we're busy and everything like that. But remember that your brain needs challenges in order to stay sharp. It's like exercise. It's like, think of it like a muscle. You lose it or you use it or you lose it. So if you get into this habit of constantly choosing comfort and convenience and constantly going after that dopamine hit, your brain will deteriorate. You need to keep challenging yourself, like whether that's through exercise or solving puzzles or problems, or sometimes doing the hard thing, getting up early instead of staying in bed late, making your bed, cooking meals from scratch, going out of your way to meet that friend, or all of these different things. Like, it is actually important for your brain health. It's not just, about your character or anything like that. It is part of the process. So just keep that in mind.
Thank you, Tia. I think I've actually learned a bit from that as well. But you know what? You just triggered in my mind a little bit. Just imagine if something as simple is like giving a cuddle to someone or a hug, and just having a hug, like the oxytocin release. Just think about how much your brain like gets from that. Like, and like, people who are listening to this, it might be in relationships. Think about when you give your partner or your like child or someone a hug, the oxytocin release you get from it. Do you or do you not feel happier after leaving it? And when you feel happier, do you not see your brain functions that much more better? You sleep better.
You get an energy burst.
You get an energy burst. So like, I think maybe whoever's, the people that are listening to this, maybe that when you finish listening, you think, you know what, when I get home, I'm going to hug that special person. And maybe if you don't have that special person, you go to your doctor and ask him for a hug instead of her a hug.
Well, no, I was going to say, if it's not a person, animals can, provide the same thing. If you're an animal person, trees. I know you're going to laugh at me, but I'm just saying, like, not everyone has, people that they can hug. And actually hugging a tree can be very grounding, and it can give that same feeling as well. So it doesn't have to be that you're in a relationship, it can be animals, nature, all of these different things, but do something for yourself. I 100% agree.
Thanks, T.
So that is brain health.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah, let us know what you thought. Did we cover things that you expected, or are there some things that maybe we left out that you find really great, or you've done your research on, or is there something else that you'd like us to talk on or elaborate on? I know that we breezed through that very, very quickly, but again, I just wanted to kind of create a video where we touch on all the different basic points. But if there's one of those areas that you would love us to go in more detail on, just leave a comment below, and we absolutely would love to do that, because we love chatting about health and wellness.
We do.
Thanks, guys.